Well, the long-awaited epic conclusion of the fourth season of Stranger Things is finally here, and oh boy is it epic. But the ending still leaves quite a bit of uncertainty for the future of the series. Yo, what's going on? I'm Julian Veloso, and if you haven't checked out my review on Volume 1, go do that because I'm not going to repeat most of the stuff that I said in that video, and that video kind of lays the groundwork for what I'm going to say in this video. And you know what? I actually don't mind making two videos on this now because from the start I thought to myself, what if I didn't have too much to talk about for Volume 2? But no, I actually have a lot to talk about. But anyway, how have these 5 weeks been for you Stranger Things fans? Has it been torturous? For some, maybe, but for me, it's been quite fine actually. I've just been patiently sitting here and just waiting. And like I said last time, the way Volume 1 ended did satisfy me enough, so I wasn't completely in a rush for the second volume. One thing that I did appreciate though was how almost immediately after the release of that volume, most people said that Max scene with the music and the epicness was probably one of, if not the best scene in the whole Stranger Things series, because I kind of felt the same way. And it's crazy how that Kate Bush single got so super popular and rose to the top of the iTunes chart or something because of that. However, during this break, it was also kind of annoying seeing a lot of Stranger Things fan theories surfacing online, like with them apparently killing off a very important character or stuff like that, but I just chose to ignore them even though it was really hard not to. And that's the thing I really wanted to dive in on for most of this video, the effects of splitting this season in half. Because while they did it since they felt this season was a little bit too big, which I do feel the same way, you could be spoiled on social media during this time, and for me, I just felt like it made the second volume just more underwhelming in a way, but more about that in a little bit. So as most of us know, Volume 1 introduced us to a new villain who, despite we've never really heard before, was still heavily connected to all the past seasons in a way, which I won't mention because it's a spoiler. But most of Volume 1 consisted of searching for clues. It felt like one big mysterious treasure hunt, not necessarily knowing what's really going on until right towards the very end of that volume. And well, since the crew now know what they are going up against, Volume 2 is more focused on the planning for the finale, the epic conclusion of this season. Because I feel like that's honestly what most of us have been looking forward to, right? How they were going to take on Vecna, how Eleven was going to get her powers back, and also I guess, the reunion of the characters in a way, because so many have been split from each other throughout the entire season. But yeah, we kind of get all that in one way or another. This volume is, I'd say, more epic than anything else. Could it have been more epic than it already is? I don't know. Probably yes. That's really debatable though. I don't think anything in this volume comes as close emotionally or powerfully to Max's big scene in Volume 1, but I do think that this volume does live up to most people's expectations. I would say though that in terms of comedy, romance, and even graphic and horror elements, this volume is pretty underwhelming compared to the first volume, and the horror elements are the most transparent, but only really because we are already used to these concepts, and it's different now because we kind of know what to expect, which isn't the case while watching the first volume. And that's the thing, I kind of do wish they didn't split the season into two, mainly because I'm one of those, probably in the majority as well, who watched Volume 1 when it first got released because I couldn't wait, Now, if you waited and just watched both volumes together entire season, then you probably wouldn't mind how underwhelming it might be. You might not even see it that way. But being someone who didn't do that, after waiting 5 weeks for the finale, it kind of feels a bit disjointed, like getting back into it all. And now I kind of treat each volume like it's its separate thing, and most of the more interesting stuff happens in Volume 1, I'll say. But I think I feel this way mostly because like, even though both episodes in volume 2 are super long, still ultimately they felt like 2 episodes, just more drawn out compared to the 7 episodes we already had, since every episode obviously has a theme, right? And a cliffhanger ending. Most of volume 2 is a bunch of planning and small talk. The thing I love about it though is how everything else I said about the first volume is still top notch. Like the cinematography, visual effects, sound effects, music, and stuff of that nature, as you'd expect, right? But here's something I forgot to mention in my volume 1 review, and that's that the thing I also like about the season is that it's not only about the threats from the Upside Down, but there's also human threats as well, which does help spice things up a bit and keeps things interesting. But ultimately, I feel like most of the time during these 2 episodes, I was just waiting for the finale, you know, like I said, and waiting to see Vecna. But also waiting to see if there's some big, huge ending, something that might not be very happy. Like, I kind of wish that might happen, as not every ending has to be like a happy ending. Sometimes that's boring, you know? I don't want to say what happens, but let's just say that there's some pretty obvious foreshadowing in this volume. And that reminds me of something, and that's that this volume, and I guess this whole season in general, really makes it sometimes seem like all hope is lost, which I like because there's like a moment of, oh shit, that, you know what I mean? That then it makes you think everything's alright, then it does the switcheroo again. So sometimes you don't really know what to expect. And a large part of that has to do with Vecna, who is easily the most menacing villain thus far, since he actually talks. But Vecna, for the most part in this volume, is like the hidden villain. He doesn't really appear too often, which makes you think of the worst, right? Like, he's one step of everyone else, and that's very chilling in a way. But when he does appear, he is still menacing as hell. And I'm also glad that we learned a bit more backstory about his character during these last 2 episodes as well. And ultimately, because of that, we learn how Stranger Things Season 4, both volumes 1 and 2, ties in with the first 3 seasons very well. And I believe longtime Stranger Things fans will be pretty happy with that. I think that's what happened. The creators, the Duffer Brothers, developed from like the 4th and the final seasons. Like they built everything from the start with the future in mind. Look, I'm still going to give Stranger Things Season 4 an A. I don't think the ending was as satisfying as it could have been, and overall, this volume is way worse than Volume 1, no doubt. Most likely only because they split the season into 2. Like I was saying, making Volume 2 a little, like, more underwhelming in a way. But in terms of an overall, like the overall season, I'm still going to give it an A. And I guess the reason why it's not as satisfying is because it leaves us on a massive cliffhanger. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. Well, mainly just 2 to 3 main ones, which I'm not going to say because they are spoilers, but let's just say that one has to do with a specific key character, and the other 2 have to do with the future of the series from a villain's point of view. But it honestly feels like this is volume 2, and then season 5, the next season, is like volume 3. That's kind of what it feels like. Initially, I was going to title this video The Epic Conclusion, since, you know, it was pretty epic. I don't know if it was the most epic it could have been, like I said, but what I'm trying to say is that it's not really a conclusion. That's why I feel like the beginning of the end is much more fitting, especially since it's a quote in this season that makes so much sense right now. That's the thing with foreshadowing, baby. Man, Stranger Things Season 5 can't come soon enough. And it's crazy how much these actors have grown up and the journey that we are all sharing with them. It's going to be pretty sad once it all ends, you know. Look, I don't know when Season 5 will come. Hopefully it will be out as soon as next year. And I'm really hoping, because like I said, it's season 5 will feel more like a volume 3 than anything else. But anyway, that's it. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Like and sub if you enjoyed. And as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time.